first ever live hair tutorial. I asked on my Facebook group what types of styles you guys wanted to see, and I got a ton of good input, but one of the biggest one was a braid. So I'm going to show you guys one of my very favorite braids. It's like a very romantic mermaid style braid, and it's really fun because it's different, but it works on almost all hair lengths and textures. So I'm going to kind of explain it as I get started on Jamie today. So you're going to start and section off just the crown of your hair. And I like to use like a rat tail comb or just my nails. And this is going to be your base for the hairstyle, and it's also going to be your volume. And then we're just going to secure it with a rubber band. And all we're going to use is just a couple bobby pins and a couple of these clear elastics. So with this, since this piece is going to be your volume of the braid, you want it to come fairly far forward, otherwise you'll have like a flat top. I'll explain that in a second. So this braid is going to be straight back, it's going to be very loose, very relaxed, and it's really pretty. It's kind of like a boho, like very romantic braid. I call it the Mermaid Braid. So I'm just going to secure this with an elastic. I get these from Sally's in like the 500 packs, and they're so awesome because they don't break the hair. They're really easy to take out. I like the clear, and for dark hair, I like the black. So after you do your base, like I said, this is going to be your volume. So instead of back combing, I'm actually just going to pull up little pieces and just get some lift. And it helps to do this in front of a mirror so you can see the front, like make sure it's even and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I like it to be slightly bumpy just because this whole look is going to be very textured. And you want it to go down the sides. Okay, so this is going to be my base, and then this little ponytail, I'm going to braid this all the way down. And this is going to be the foundation for my actual braid. And this is a fun style because it's totally that really like loose and romantic braid that everybody wants, but it stays in really well because of this braid. So this is the secret. This is even if you have like little girls that want a looser braid, the tight ones stay really well, but if you do this, and I'll show you where you can add a couple more bobby pins, it actually stays pretty well for how soft and romantic it is. So I'm just gonna braid all the way down, add another rubber band. And I like these little ones. I mean, you can use a regular rubber band, but they just look a little chunky. And sometimes when you're working like a thinner section of hair like this, they don't work very well. So now that I've braided it, how's our angle? I'm going to just lightly pull it apart. Just a little bit so it's not as tight. Barely. Just to flatten it out a little bit and create space. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to start taking pieces from the side and loop it through this braid. So if it's too tight, you won't be able to fit it. So basically what we're going to do is take sections and twist them and pin them into, or not pin, just tuck them into the braid to create this really loose style. So we're going to start on our front piece. And I want it to look really natural. Like I want it to look like it's all flowing together, like it's not in separate sections. So I'm going to start with this piece right here. I'm going to spray it with some texture spray. This is Away texturizing spray. And it's really awesome. It gives kind of like a grit to the hair. You might even be able to see it on camera. It's kind of like cloudy, but it's like basically just a really, really fine powder. And what this does, this is like the secret to this braid, because it adds a lot of grit to the hair and it's gonna help it stay. And this is the piece, these like very front pieces are where you want to pay the most attention. So these are the pieces I'm probably going to take a little bit more time on just because I'm really concerned with how the front and the side looks. But as you get going, like the messier the better. So if I hadn't sprayed this product in her hair, it would totally fall out. Like all these little baby hairs, because she has layers, most people have layers, they would just slide right out. So I'm going to turn it. How's the angle? Can we see? Okay, so I'm gonna turn it and I'm gonna open up this braid and I'm gonna tuck the piece right inside, and this is what's gonna hold it. Actually, usually for the top piece, I pin this one over, sorry. So reverse for a second. So this piece, my very first piece, I want to cover this rubber band. So I'm gonna bring it over, take a rubber, or not a rubber band, take a bobby pin, open it up and just tuck it right underneath that braid. Don't want any rubber bands to show. And if you want extra security, you can crisscross your bobby pins. So my goal is to never have bobby pins show and never to have rubber bands show. And if you can tuck those pins up into like this actual ponytail, they're gonna stay a lot better. Okay, so that's my first piece. And after you do it, you can pull it apart. We're gonna go through at the end and pull everything apart. So you're not gonna be able to see this side, but I'm gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. And I'm gonna start tucking it into the braid. So I'm spraying my product. The reason I spray each section is because this does have like a good amount of grit to it. So if I sprayed her entire head with this and then went to do all of this, it would get tangly. So, okay, so now's when I'm gonna open my braids. So I'm gonna pull apart this little piece right on the top and just pull that through. Gorgeous. Same thing on the other side. Now we're just tucking. And depending on how long your hair is, I usually like to leave some pieces out. I think it's really pretty. Her, especially if the hair around the face is short, hers are a little bit longer, so I might put them all back. Not sure yet. Okay, so you twist, and then just slightly pull it apart. And this is awesome because it gives the illusion of really, really thick hair. So a lot of times when I do this for weddings or something like that, I'll usually put a pack of extensions in to make it look really, really full. But you can do this every day and get a full look just by using the texture spray and pulling it apart correctly. Jamie has, I would say her hair is average. Like it's definitely not super thin, but it's not super thick. And we're gonna create the illusion of a ton of fullness. So same thing on the other side. Pulling it. And the trick with this, you want this to look super loose. So I'm kind of draping these as I go. I don't want it to be pulled back really tight. So same thing. So you just loop it through like the opposite side of the braid. Just like a little hook, and then it holds it. So you don't need to use bobby pins anymore. It's gonna hold it, especially because we sprayed that texture spray. It's gritty. And if something's sliding out, you should just tuck it back in. All right, so this is the piece I'll probably leave out. And you can see like I'm not bringing it straight back, I'm bringing it angled downwards, and that's what's gonna give it like that loose romantic look. So we're gonna spray it again. And another trick with this, if you want to make this style really fast, you don't need to prep your hair before. So I curled Jamie's hair before we went live. I didn't put any product on it. But what you can do is you can establish your base, do your braid, and then you can just curl what's left out. That way you don't have to curl your whole hair, you don't have to section it, it's a lot faster. You can skip the curling, but it helps because it adds a little bit of texture. If you have a natural wave in your hair, or it's like third day hair or something, it has some texture and a little bit of movement, you can skip the curling. Same thing over here. Spray, twist, pull. There's steps. And you're gonna visually decide where you do it. So as you go down the braid, you don't have to loop it through exactly like every loop, if that makes sense. Sometimes I will skip one. I kind of judge it by how much hair I have left to put in the braid and how it's looking. Like I don't want it to look too droopy, but like I said, I don't want it to be up too high. So, and you can always pull it tighter later and loosen it later too. So you have options. So I'm gonna turn her, hopefully you guys can see. So I kind of want this to become a V. So it's gonna be wider here and it's gonna narrow down. So I'm gonna start pulling things a little bit tighter now that I'm down here. But as you reach the nape of the neck, like even though you're pulling it tighter, you don't want to completely pull it tight. Otherwise it'll look kind of funny. Like your top will be really loose and romantic, and then your bottom will be just like super tight. So you want to make sure everything is in balance. And if you're doing this on yourself, like watching me do it, it probably looks like it would be tricky, but it's actually because it's such like a tousled kind of imperfect look, it's not super hard to do on yourself. It's totally doable. It helps if you have a three-way mirror or something, but I've even done it before, like without looking. I'll just feel the braid and it totally works out. So you can try it. What I usually do, I'll kind of feel it and do the style, and then I'll check it out in a mirror, and if something's too tight, it's pretty easy to pull it out. If something is too loose, you can tuck it back in, so you have some options. Okay, this is gonna be my last piece for now, and I'm gonna show you guys what I do next. So I'm getting towards the end. I'm basically gonna split this in two pretty soon and start looping it. So what I'm gonna do with the bottom of the braid is pull it out a little looser, and only the edges. You're not pulling out this entire loop, you're only pulling out the outside edge, because now this braid is going to be seen a little bit. So I want it to look loose and tousled like the rest. Like, I don't want to disconnect of a really tight braid and these like loose curls. I call this the mermaid braid because I did a styled shoot and we had a mermaid, and I did the style on her and we put little shells in it. It was super cute. It's really pretty for flower girls too. You can put the like the baby's breath in it if their hair's long enough. It's really pretty. If you have shorter hair, I think hair, as long as it's past like collarbone, can do this style. If it's shorter, it looks a little bit more formal because your braid's gonna stop about there, but it's still a cool look. It's like a different sort of a style, but it's still a cool effect that it gives. You can use these same techniques. So now that I'm down with the bottom, now I did pretty much just spray my texture spray everywhere, because her hair is not long enough anymore to get tangled. So I'm just visually grabbing pieces, and once you get to the bottom, hopefully you guys can still see, once you get to the bottom, you're gonna have shorter pieces because of layers, natural breakage, stuff like that. So you're just gonna kind of eyeball it, and we're just about done. I'm gonna show you guys how to finish it off, and then we'll get a nice wide shot so you guys can see what we're doing. And this, once you get to the bottom too, you don't have to pull it quite as far apart because it's already gonna have that tousled look, and you're totally just eyeballing it. Like whatever's hanging out, you're gonna tuck in. And I'm gonna retie the bottom. I'm gonna show you how I finish it off. Okay, so how I finish it off is I actually take out this rubber band. If your hair is really thick, you can leave it in, but usually I want the bottom to just kind of flow. I don't want to see your rubber band, so there's two things you can do. I'm going to show you guys what's going to last longer, but you can actually, maybe I'll show you the second way first. You can actually, if you want, you can just tease the bottom of your braid and it will stay. If you hairspray it, it will stay pretty good. But if you're gonna wear it all day, or you wanna ensure the longevity, you can put a rubber band in. I'm gonna show you guys how to hide it. So because this is so loose and bohemian looking, I don't wanna see rubber band. Like I don't wanna see a finish. I want it just to look like she's a little mermaid that just came from the ocean and has no hair ties. So I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna roll the bottom under like that so there's no ends. So we covered the ends. I'm just gonna pull those apart and then lightly pull whatever's above that to kind of cover it. And then I'm just gonna check it out. If I see my bobby pins, I either need to lift this above it or I need to pull this down a little bit or just push them up higher. Same thing, so I just kind of visually go down and see how it's looking, but it's looking good. Just gonna tuck some pieces in. Give it some spray. Okay, we ready for a wide shot? I'm gonna turn here a little bit so you guys can see. All right, we're good. So this is the finished look on Miss Jamie. gorgeous. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment. Join my Facebook group. It's Julie Christine Hair and Makeup, and suggest any videos you guys want to see in the future. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. See ya.